Recording. All right, hi everyone, welcome to my ethnography research video interview. And today we're going to be talking about how it's like to support a team from the Premier League as a person living in the United States. So for me, as a fellow supporter of Manchester United, I know from firsthand experience that my love for my club can be under scrutiny and sometimes even legitimized since I'm not a domestic fan. So I'd like to ask you guys, starting with Robel, why it's how it's like to become a fan for the Premier League, and when and how you became a fan.
Okay, so hi, my name is Robel. I am Manny's cousin, and I'm an Arsenal supporter. So honestly, I kind of became an Arsenal fan by chance. So growing up, I really didn't support any Premier League teams. I just kind of watched all the games because they interested me. And it wasn't until around when I was 14 or 15 when I became an Arsenal fan. So around that time, I met my now close cousin Johan for the first time. And he was a pretty serious Arsenal fan. And I guess after keeping in touch with him for a while, I kind of slowly became an Arsenal fan. And at the same time, I was watching a bunch of old footage from the early 2000s, which was a period when Arsenal was the best team in the Premier League. And after watching all of those stars just dominate and seeing the passion, early 2000s, 2004.
I mean, we're still doing things too.
So yeah, basically just after watching them just dominate,
you guys, yeah,
and just the passion from the crowd, I kind of just fell in love with the club, and the rest is just history, I guess.
All right, cool. All right, you, Khalid, it looks like you're, there we go. Want to go ahead and talk about your team?
Sure. So I don't really remember, but I feel like it was in 2012, the City QPR game.
You want to go ahead and talk about what happened there?
Yeah, when Guerrero scored in the 93rd minute, and they clinched us our first title in 60, I don't know how many years. I don't know if I remember Michael crying or my dad told me Michael was crying, but after that moment, I became a City fan. But I wasn't a real serious.
That's what it took.
Wow. Cat.
I became a real fan. I actually started watching soccer and started enjoying watching soccer.
All right, cool.
That was my start.
All right, you want to talk about your team, Sean?
All right, so probably around 2010 is when my first interest in just soccer in general started. Before that, I was a very Americanized boy where I was baseball, football, not even really much basketball. It was mostly just baseball and football.
Oh,
and then around 2010, 2011, when high school started, I started getting exposed to more and more outside influences. So then I got exposed to a game called FIFA. Everyone here knows FIFA. And through FIFA, it made me realize, oh, this could actually be cool. Through that, I started watching. And then the more I watched, a player named Gareth Bale, who used to play for Tottenham, became my favorite player. And through that, I started supporting Tottenham. But once he left, I continued to support. And since then, my club, my boys. So
nice to hear. And what about you, Michael?
For me, it was just natural. It made sense, you know what I'm saying? When I was little, it's Manchester United, the greatest team on the planet.
When did you first start supporting them?
I started supporting them literally when I started watching soccer. I grew up playing soccer, starting at the age of, I think, around I want to say I probably did play in Ethiopia when we were growing up there, but I don't really remember much. So
I remember passing the ball back and forth in front of the gate.
Right. Yeah. I don't remember that, but yeah.
I do.
Michael barely remembers what he did yesterday.
But yeah, so as early as I can remember, I like soccer, and I really. When I came to the States, when I came to America, I did, like basketball more, football more, like Sean said, more the American sports. But somehow, some way, around the 5th grade, 6th grade, I started really loving soccer more, and I started watching it. And yeah, I don't know how I became a United fan. I just know it was just love at first sight. That era with Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez, Nanny, all those guys. I just really loved them, and they're amazing to watch. I watched them like biblically, like every match. Like I would just pop it on, even if I can't find a feed or we didn't have K-WAP, like find an illegal stream and just watch them play.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
So like the next question I'd like to ask you guys, and again we'll start here with Robel, is like, are there any communities on a social media or person that you guys take a part of, since it's hard to support the team from a different country, to become closer to your team?
Oh yeah. So probably about like a year or two ago, I came across this YouTube channel called the Arsenal Fan TV, which is basically a group of Arsenal supporters, from London, who go to all of the games, and they provide live footage of the fans, and you can really get the atmosphere. And then afterwards, they provide an opportunity for the fans to speak their opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, they've also been, since coronavirus is happening, you can't go to the stadium, so they've been doing these live streams where like a group of friends, they all sit in a room and they record their reactions, and I watch them at the same time as watching the game. And it's just nice to be able to celebrate with them when we score a goal.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's just nice how they provide a platform for all the fans all around the world to be able to speak their thoughts on the club.
All right.
Yeah.
And moving on to the plastic fan here, Colin. No, I'm just playing.
I follow like 2 news accounts on Instagram. I actively comment on them, start like disputes on like players we should get and whatnot. And I also follow their YouTube channel because they post a lot of like videos on like targets and like how we played and stuff like that. And like it's just good to see in the comments like people saying like what we can do better, what we're not so good, like our defense is like not good. And it's just like nice to like communicate with like people all around the world, like all.
But anyways, Sean, how about you?
I watch a few YouTube channels every now and then, mostly after the games, just to see like post-match thoughts and stuff like that. But other than that, I just kind of stay in my own little bubble.
Okay. Enough said. What about you, Michael?
For me, basically download the app, the Manchester United app, since they send me notifications every time like anything happens, any type of news, like post-game interviews, stuff like that. Pretty much watch all the games live, so I don't really have to watch highlights. but yeah, so
who's that towards?
I also like follow the Instagram and I think just Instagram, maybe Facebook too, of the team and some of the players too. So that's how I stay connected.
All right. Well, moving on to the final questions, or the final question, actually. What's it called? Do you think that fans that are from the actual like towns of the teams that you support are more of a fan than fans from different countries, kind of like people that live here and abroad? Do you think their opinions or input are more valuable for us?
No, I don't think so, man. Like, these are all global clubs. Like, you have millions of supporters all around the world. It doesn't matter where you're from. We're all watching the games. We're supporting the club. Just because you live in the UK doesn't mean you have like some special privilege. Like, we're all supporters. So I don't think there's any difference between the fans. Besides, you might be able to go to the games, I guess, but
yeah, that's like
everyone can't do that.
Yeah, everyone can't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's only each stadium is only limited to 70,000.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Colin? Do you think that your say on anything is less valuable than the people that live in Manchester?
No, I think like all global fans, they should be like held at the same level. Like Robo said, the only difference is that we can't go to games because we're international. Like we have just as much spirit. Just because you were raised in the city doesn't mean like you're a better fan than us. We're all the same. We're all one together.
But I mean, I guess at the same time, since like the fans that are living in the city get more scrutiny from like, let's say, other family members or other fans from other clubs. So they get it more than us, I guess. So like they have to go through it more. I don't know. It's something that I like to add. What about you, Sean? What do you think?
I'd say when it comes to fans from like the UK, specifically like London, because that's my club, there's obviously going to be the people that support it that are in London, in the Tottenham area, are going to have that stigma of foreign fans. Like, oh, they obviously don't know as much. But, like, that's just basic stigma, pretty much a stereotype of, like, oh, yeah. But the moment they start probably talking to you and see, oh, you actually have knowledge of the club, you know what's going on, it'll probably get ridden away really quick. It's easy to overcome, but same thing, like, especially for Michael, grow up, he watched a lot of basketball like I do. If someone from the UK comes over here and was like, yo, basketball, you're going to be like, well, you know. But then once they start talking about it, you'll be like, you actually know? Okay, cool, let's go. But it's like, to start off, there's always going to be that thought of, you're not from here, so you know more than I do. But, but at the end of the day, not really. It's easy to overcome it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Anyways, Michael, any final thoughts about, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that too. There's definitely like a stereotype you have to overcome. But I do have to say the fans as a total group, like in the UK, are way more fanatic than like a group here. So there's way more energy, there's way more passion in UK. But like me personally, I don't think like on a person to person basis, like I don't think just because you're from there, your support to the team is any less.
To counter what Michael said, half of that passion comes from being able to go to the game. That's just being there live just gives you that extra sense of adrenaline, extra sense of love, extra sense of like connected. You know what I mean?
Also, like,
just
because
you're
True.
lineage as well.
I'm sure that
like,
helps.
family.
yeah, watching it on TV, you're gonna have that passion. Like, that's my club, I'm gonna support them. But being there live just gives you that extra heightened sense. So it's like,
Yeah.
like when we were in London, if we were able to go to that game,
Oh, don't remind me.
imagine how we would have felt, and it probably would have carried over.
I was
when
in
we
the
came
front
back.
row seats too,
But
bro. Oh
that
my
would have carried
God.
over when we came back. We would have had that heightened level of love and passion because we've been there, we've experienced it, so we know what it's like. So we can put ourselves there. We can't physically put ourselves in that stadium right now because we've never been to a game, so we don't know what the atmosphere is like. So that's kind of where that probably stems from.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
I guess you know, on that note, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. I appreciate you guys taking the time out and taking part of this interview here. And well, I guess
No problem.